Hi, welcome to episode 370 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. You can also find me as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I also have an Etsy shop where I sell my handspun yarns and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? I hope that your week is off to a good start. It is Monday, March 21st. And it is starting to be a gloomy afternoon here. We are expecting rain for the next few days, so it has gotten gray and very dark. And as you notice, I really need the lights, and there are shadows today. But that is what we're up to. I hope that your week is off to a good start. Mine has, I have some exciting things going on behind the scenes that I can't talk about yet. But so my brain has been kind of all over the place and there's been lots going on. But I have managed to get a little bit of crafting done, and so I'm happy to sit and share that with you this week. I'm going to jump right in, because I have tons I want to say and not that much that I can say. So we'll wait a couple weeks until I can share more with you. Today I am drinking the Bard's Blend from Friday Afternoon Teas. She produces teas that are based on D&D and magic, and the Bard's Blend is black tea, ginger, sugar, and natural vanilla flavoring. So that is, it's a little hard with the glare. I'm hoping you can see that on my screen. It's really hard for me to see, but it is Friday Tea. And I believe that's at fridaytea.com. Yeah, www.fridaytea.com. And she has all kinds of great blends. So, and I'm drinking that today in my Oy vey all day mug. I had 2 hours of back-to-back meetings this morning. Oy vey indeed. And this afternoon, I have been focused on some client work. So let's get into what I have to share with you. I have 2 finished objects this week. The first is something you have seen before. This is the Rainbow Warrior shawl. I'm sorry, the Rainbow Wings shawl. Rainbow Warrior is a different shawl by a different artist. This is the Rainbow Wings shawl by Mina Phillip, who is the knitting expat. And I knit this in 1 skein of a speckled yarn, and then I added some mini skeins from my advent kit that I got from Indie Untangled. And this has been blocked, but I have not trimmed all the loose ends. Hopefully they won't get in the way as much as they did last week. And this blocked out to be a very nice shawl. It is quite a bit longer or wider than it is deep. It is more than my wingspan, and this is actually a gift for my sister for her birthday, and she is just a couple inches taller than me, so it will be just fine. The main section is knit in Stitch Together Studios in her sock weight yarn in a colorway called the Notorious RBG, which is after Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and of course it is in purples and whites, and then it's got some sections of almost neon, some pops of pink and yellow, and it is super fun. I don't know that the monitor is picking it up. I will try and take some good photos when I am done, although my light today is going to be terrible. Then the shawl calls for a set of minis. I believe she used 10 minis that were very small. I used 6 minis that were a little bit larger. I pretty much followed her pattern, and so mine is actually not as wide as it could be, but these are the minis that I chose, and they are from various dyers, and I felt like I really captured a lot of the colors that were in the original yarn. I feel like, you know, I have the really, really pale lavender, which almost hits some of the white specks. I have the medium lavender, which hits in there. I have this blue, variegated blue and purple and pink, and I feel like that hits some of the darker blues in here along with the next dark blue, and then I kind of have a blue fading to gray, and then just a little bit of the shawl at the edge. So, modifications that I made. I basically knit the shawl as written, except I did fewer wedges because I had fewer skeins of yarn. I could have, because I had fewer minis, I could have made the wedge sections larger, wider across, so I could have made them larger because I had fewer minis. I decided not to do that, so I knit them exactly as the pattern wrote. So basically there were 10 wedges and I did 6, and then the one final thing that I did to tie it all together was at the very end I went ahead and did an I-cord bind off. I just like the way that looks at the end, and like I said, you can see I still have all my ends. They're all woven in, I just have not snipped them post blocking, and I like the way that kind of ties the whole piece together and gives it kind of a finished edge at the bottom. Of course, it wouldn't be knitting if I didn't have a piece of my hair in it, right? I'm guessing you all have that problem as well. So yeah, so this is, like I said, the Rainbow Wings shawl. It is very, very lovely. I will take a picture, which will probably be the cover image for this episode. And then I will trim the ends and get it ready. My sister's birthday is next week, so I have easily made that deadline. I will hope to get this out in the next day or two, and headed for her, and hopefully she will like it. I know it's not necessarily her colors. It's a little bit more mine at this point, but I think it will be fine, because she and I do like similar things. So that is the first finished object. The second finished object is a hat pattern. I told you I needed to make a baby hat, and I did this week. And this is out of some yarn that was dyed by Zena, who was from the Little Yellow Uke podcast. I know she is still around and posting, but I don't know whether she is still doing her podcast. She dyed this beautiful, it's an 80-20 blend of superwash merino and nylon. It was specifically, it was dyed for socks, but I went ahead and did it as a little baby hat, and I sort of loosely borrowed from the little baby hat with the knot at the top, although I believe that pattern is written for worsted weight, so I just adapted to my own stitch counts, and this is really sweet and done. It does actually, I'll probably wash it and block it, but it just has a little rolled edge. It's a stockinette hat, and just for some friends of ours who are having a little baby, but I was happy to complete that, and my husband was very happy to have it completed as well, because he was worried that I wouldn't make it in time. Baby isn't due until April, but now we're ready to go, and I just love the colors in this, and I sort of love how it kind of striped a little bit and pooled a little bit, but it's very, very sweet, very it's not exactly all pastels, but it is, I really, really like it. And there is enough left that I might get a pair of socks for myself, or it might even be a pair of socks for Roxy. So that is the second finished object this week, which means it was time for me to cast on some new things. So let's talk about what I am knitting. First up, we'll talk about the project I am making good progress on, and that is I started knitting the 10-stitch blanket by Frankie Brown. This is a blanket that is worked sort of, it's not exactly modularly, because it is worked kind of building on the previous, and which I guess you can't work it in parts because you are always building on the previous, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So in that sense, it is not modular. It is modular in the sense that you're only working on 10 stitches at a time, and you are attaching your 10 stitches sort of as you go throughout the pattern so that you are creating a larger and larger blanket. This is a little bit hard to see because the yarn is kind of busy, but here we go. This is a 10-stitch pattern, like I said, that I'm only working on 10 stitches, any 10 stitches at a given time, and I'm knitting back and forth in garter stitch. And then what we're doing is, as I work along the long side of the blanket, the part that I've already done, I am attaching the last stitch, and then at the corners, I am knitting little mitered squares at the corners. This is all per pattern. It's called the 10-stitch blanket by Frankie Brown. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. I am not sure if it is available elsewhere. I haven't been able to find it, but I do know that if you can get someone to download the PDF from Ravelry, you can make it for free. If you have trouble using Ravelry. And so this is kind of where I'm at. I've done a couple rounds, as you can see. Let me pick out where I, let's see, I started here. So, and I have been working out, kind of snaking around, and I am probably 2/3 of the way through my first color, which is a Zen Yarn Garden Nightshade. That means that one of the plies is black and the other plies take the dye, and this is primarily a purple and yellow skein. And the next skein that I will be going to sort of build off the purple is I will move to purple and blue. So every time I move to another skein in this pattern, one of the colors will stay the same and one will change, and it will flow through kind of a brightly colored rainbow. So again, this is their Nightshade worsted from Zen Yarn Garden. And it is 100% superfine superwash merino, 175 yards per skein. So this entire thing will be, I believe, either 8 or 9 skeins, and you will see it quite a bit over the next few months, or at least the next month and a half, because it will take me a little while to get through it, because it is so much yarn. So I will be sharing that with you as I go on, but I am enjoying that knit, and it's working up pretty easily once you sort of figure out how to join and attach and how to get these mitered corners done, it is pretty easy to keep going. So that is one of the projects I'm working on, and I'm pleased with this. I made plenty of progress on this week, so I was really, really happy. Once I finished the baby hat, I was excited because it means I can cast on for something for myself. I had sort of set a bunch of things and samples and projects that I needed to finish, and now I want to turn my attention to knitting myself sort of a springy sweater. And I think I showed you this previously. I was very taken with a sweater in the Mode for Rowan spring collection. So, and this collection is really beautiful. Rowan produces really elegant garments, nicely fitting garments in really fine yarns. And I will say that they are not always my style. Sometimes it's a little bit too classic and tailored for me. But in general, I really, really like the patterns that they put out. And they this particular issue really caught my eye. They have focused on golds and creams and natural browns in this issue. And it really gives the issue kind of a sun-kissed feel. Like it reminds me of summers in Tuscany. Not that I've ever spent the summer in Tuscany, but it reminds me of sort of that warm golden glow of summer. And so that really, I don't know, something about that mood really inspired me. And they talked a lot about how there is kind of a shade of yellow for everyone, which is funny because I always thought that I couldn't wear yellow, but as time has gone on, I've figured out that if it's more gold toned, I really can. So that has been kind of interesting, although I'm not knitting in gold this time. Anyway, the sweater that I decided I really, really liked was this one, and it is called Oyster. And it is a very simple kind of long cardigan. It is knit in sections of stockinette and reverse stockinette to create some basically just garter ridges and welts. And it is just this long casual cardigan, and it is knit in cotton glacé, which is 100% cotton. It is a sport weight yarn from Rowan that comes in just beautiful colorways. And as you know, I'm definitely more of a jewel tones girl, and so I decided to get it in this rich purple, which is called Precious. I think it's coming across a little bit bluer on screen than I wanted it to. Comes across pinker on the Rowan website than it actually is, and a little bit brighter than it actually is, but this is just a really, really nice grape colorway, and it has a really nice intensity to it. So I wish that I could say that I had lots to show you, because on Saturday, to distract myself from some of the things that are going on, I sat down and I started a rewatch of Downton Abbey in anticipation of the new movie, and I knit for several hours. And the bottom of this cardigan is 1x1 rib for 4 inches. So I cranked through most of that on Saturday, and when I got to the part where I started working in stockinette stitch, I went ahead and measured, and my gauge was a little bit off. And so I ended up ripping it, and I'm going to make one size smaller, and I had sort of thought about that at the beginning. The cardigan is written for 10 inches of ease, which is a lot of ease. And the combination of the fact that I was a smidge off on gauge and that it was supposed to have 10 inches of ease meant I was going to end up at 11 or 12 inches of ease. And that was not what I wanted. So I went ahead and switched to a smaller size, which results in a finished size of 45, which means if I'm at 46 or 47, that's 8 or 9 inches of ease, and I think that will be more comfortable for me. So unfortunately, I had basically knit through, Rowan comes in fairly small cakes. These are about 125 yards. And I had basically knit through almost all of the first ball and had to go back and rip it out. So, and now I'm even in the middle of a row because why wouldn't I be? So I am back to my 1x1 ribbing, and I have less than an inch. But that is the project that I am working on, and sort of the carrot that I am using to the stick and carrot approach that I am using to work on my sample sum and other things that I have going on, and then in the evenings spend a little bit of time on my own sweater. This sweater is not really going to be terribly complicated. It is knit in pieces. Part of the reason, or part of Rowan's style is that they like to do pieced sweaters because the seams give them more structure and more ability for fit. It is not my necessarily preferred way of knitting garments, but I don't mind. And I would like this garment in particular, so I decided to do it. So I have a back and 2 fronts to be knit, and the sleeves are actually cast on and worked sideways as part of the sweater. So the back piece is going to be like a large T, and then the front pieces will be like L's, sort of upside down L's, and then I will join them all together and do a button band all the way around. So I obviously have a ways to go. I would like to get through quite a bit of the back this week, but I am also in no particular hurry as long as I'm enjoying knitting it. So I don't know how quickly I will get through it. You will sadly see the projects that I'm working on now for the next several weeks, and I don't know when I will be bringing something new into the mix. I am knitting more chicken feathers this week, but they are plain black and white, so I did not bring those to show you. So I'm going to take a quick sip of tea, and then I'll go through spinning, and then we'll be done. So this week I finished up a spin that I had showed you for the last couple weeks, and it is not washed yet. I just finished plying it yesterday. So it needs a washing and a good thwacking and some measurement, but the skein will be up in my shop soon. This was a skein from Knitty and Color, or this was a braid of fiber from Knitty and Color. It was very brightly colored. The predominant color, I guess, is purple. That's what I'm seeing in the skein. I guess I am attracted to that lately. But there are also lots of pops of almost neon colors, so you can see oranges and yellows and pinks and blues and lots of fun colors. I think this is going to be a really fun skein. This is I believe it's a Tarhi, so it's probably going to puff up just a little bit. It'll be soft like merino. I lost count while I was measuring it off on the Nitty Naughty, and so I need to go back and count precisely how many loops and do my measurements after the bath, so I really don't know how many yards it is. My guess is it's going to be my standard kind of sport weight, 300, 350, 375 yards, but I don't know for sure. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to wash this as soon as we're done here, and then I'm going to go ahead and give that a day or two to dry, and then I will get it up on the shop. So if you're interested in some really jewel-toned and some bright pops of color, I think this one's going to be super, super fun for that. So, which brings me to the spin of this week. This is one that I showed you last week. This is called Gleaming, and I believe this is also a Tarhi. I think I have a thing for Tarhi right now. I believe this is Tarhi. It is from Hello Yarn, and it's in all these rich kind of colorways. It's kind of a partial rainbow. It's definitely a red, orange, yellow with some pink and some minty green. And this is the second half of the braid. The first half is already spun into singles on the wheel. So my plan is to try and finish this one up in the next couple days and then ply it so that I can show it to you next time. And I don't have a next spin picked out yet because I've gotten behind enough that I think it will take me the rest of the week to get through this one. So that is what I am working on. I hope that you are doing well, that you're, it's now spring officially. I don't know what your temperatures are like, but I hope you are looking forward to a change in the seasons. Obviously we'll be wearing less sweaters and heavy woolen garments here in the Northern Hemisphere, but I still like knit tees and tops, and shawls for summer wear, and of course socks are a great portable project for summer. So my crafting mojo isn't going to dull even though we're moving into the warmer seasons. So I'm sure I will have lots to share with you, although I guess for the next couple weeks my projects may look very much the same. So I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you as always for joining me for a little bit, and I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!